over the last couple of months, I had to call a bunch of people and let them know that Marshall was in hospice, and that eventually he passed away. And those calls were rough because it was oftentimes people that I hadn't talked to for a long time, and so there's this incredible excitement in their voice that we hadn't talked to them, that we were on the phone, and that I just had to give them bad news. And one of those calls was to Bobby Bliss, former member of Congress from South Carolina. And we talked for a while. He and Marshall had a very special relationship. And told him that at that point, Marshall could do two things. He could lay in his bed and he could sit in the chair in the back room. And then he was at peace. He was ready to move on. But he didn't know if there was something after this. And he wasn't so much worried about that. He was just uncertain. And so I called Bob, and Bob asked if he could send a note to Marshall, which I read to Marshall. And here's what he said. He said, "Dear Marshall, I'm so honored that you asked Mark to call me. I wish that Pam could show me the back room of your house. I wish I could greet you with a hug. I wish we could cry together and laugh together. I wish I could see that sparkle in your eyes and breathe in that gentle spirit of boundless optimism that surrounds you. I have in my hand the note that you wrote me on June 24th, 2010, days after I lost in the Republican primary. On the stationery from the Washington Court Hotel, you wrote, if you want to give your best in any selfless service, choose the right goal, use the right means, and don't think about the results. Leave them to me, your Christian. I tell you these words surely describe your life. You've given your best in selfless service, Marshall. You've chosen the right goal, you've used the right means. Surely you can leave the results to God. And yet, leaving this world seems so odd. This is all we've ever known. These bodies are all we've ever inhabited. This is the only ground we've ever walked. The mechanics of our leaving are just plain freaky. The much maligned, unfairly methinks disciple, Thomas, says it like it is in John 14. Lord, we don't know where you're going, so how can we know the way? Jesus doesn't give the answer that would make sense to us, dwellers in time and space. Go 500 feet, hang a left, look for signs that say heaven ahead, and just follow the four-lane road. Rather, he simply tells Thomas, I am the way and the truth and the life. Thank you for your love and example, Marshall. Thank you for blessing me with your friendship. Thank you for caring for those who come after us. We are all blessed by these years that you've lived. Blessings to you. So much love, Bob. So I had a chance to read this note to Marshall, and what happened was over the last couple of months, there were a lot of notes that came in from you. And I got a chance to sit next to his bed or next to him in his chair and read the notes, and it was very comforting to him, and it was very, very also powerful for his family. So I just wanted to thank everybody who's reached out, who sent something, who posted something on community. This is still a hard time for his family, and it's making it just a little bit better by everybody communicating, so thank you so much. Okay, you want to call that? So I was looking at the electronic version of the conference program this morning, and it said, focus, optimism, relationships. I was like, this is a great program. This sounds like something I'd like to go to. And then I realized that all of our values were listed: integrity, personal power, diversity, and being nonpartisan. That was the work of our amazing marketing director, Leslie Beatty, who's done a remarkable job of providing focus and branding and just a very disciplined way we communicate about things. And I asked her if she could just give us a snapshot of where the organization is at this point. So if you could please welcome Leslie Beatty up here.
All right, I probably will not cry unless it is because I'm presenting data and I can't actually see my slides. So that might bring me to tears. But I did want to give everyone just a snapshot by the numbers of how CCL is doing. And the first thing we should know is that we're getting really big. So there are over 182,000 supporters worldwide who have signed up with CCL. And we are organized in into 567 chapters around the world and 465 in the US. So there are a lot of us, and we're growing. So anecdotally, we've seen a huge surge of people signing up within the year. So people are feeling very motivated and increasingly coming to the table to work with us, which is just great news. Okay, so here's where the challenge begins in presenting slides that I can't see. We have done a little bit of work. Last year, CCL undertook a diversity, equity, and inclusion strategic plan. As part of that, we started surveying our supporter base to learn a little bit more about them, who they are, to set baselines. And so this data that I'm showing you is the baseline. And so the first thing I'm going to talk about is age. So how old are we, really, at CCL, volunteer base? You can see there's a couple categories. There's under 25, 26 to 40, 41 to 65, and over 65. And then there's little dashed lines, and that's the national level for that age group for the US total. The other thing you should know is that this is the age of our volunteers at the year that they joined. So this is not cumulative. It's year by year is like an individual year snapshot. And so what we can tell is that we are really increasing our younger membership at CCL. So we saw. So in 2019, members under 40 joined in greater percentages than they exist in the US. We still do skew a little bit towards the over 65 age group, and we really are below that sort of mid-year 41 to 65. The folks who are mid-career, who may have kids and families at home, really are still not yet joining us in full force. So here's that. And then we also survey people about their race. And I want to be clear, this survey is very complex, so there are a lot of answer choices here. For the purpose of simplicity, we have split it into white and people of color. But we do have breakouts for every race. And so what we're learning is that we still have our work cut out here. We are making progress, slow but steady progress. We have undertaken diversity, equity, and inclusion strategic work under Karina Ramirez, who is CCL's diversity manager, and it's being supported at all levels of the organization. Okay. So, as you may have suspected, the CCL supporters are largely identified as Democrats. So this is another real area of strategic priority for us. I do want to point out that because our membership is growing so quickly, this doesn't mean that we're not bringing Republicans and independents on board. It's just that they are not growing as a percentage. So for them to grow as a percentage, they have to exceed the rate of people who identify as Democrat joining. This is another area where there's a lot of work going on, both in increased targeting and finding people who are conservative who would be interested in joining, and thinking about how to onboard them and welcome them into the organization so that we can increase their numbers as a percentage. Yeah, that's all I had.
I also want to just say how important this region is for CCL as an organization. So when I got here in 2009, there were 6 chapters, 3 in San Diego and 3 in Washington State. And there were 6 chapters for a year. And so it was like, I wonder if anything's ever going to happen here. I always felt like I was fairly confident about my ability to make things happen, and nothing was happening. And then we had an event at Lori Williams Temple, who was here, Lori's here. And we started San Francisco, Marin, East Bay, and San Jose. And it was a game changer. We became an entirely different organization because we had 10 chapters. And we started saying it like that, like, have you ever met an organization with 10 chapters? This is some big stuff. We're making some really, really big things happen. But it was a game-changing event, and because there are not only so many new members in the Bay Area, but because so many people were there from day one from this part of this specific area, it's been an absolutely crucial piece of us building CCL. And in fact, Lori Williams was part of this group of people we were going to call every Monday coming out of Waxman Markey's failure, expressing our frustration of how things weren't going. There were all these like super Washington, D.C. insiders. Marshall and I called them the smart guys because usually we didn't know what they were talking about. We'd have these conversations that they'd say, Dallas this, Dallas that, and we're like, is there an event in Dallas? Eventually we learned they were talking about Dallas Bertrand, the economist. But most of the conversations were kind of over our head, and they knew they were very angry about what wasn't happening. And so what they kept saying is, we need to write a bill, we need to write a bill, we need to write a bill. And Lori Williams chimed in one of those calls and said, I'll write the bill. Which, like, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, it's kind of like a Frodo saying, I'll take the ring. So what happened is Lori drafted the first 7-page draft of what we now call carbon fee dividend. So that came from Lori Williams. Yeah. So that's what most Republicans in Congress are concerned about at this point, is having someone who runs from the right way. So it would be unlikely that someone would come on, but we do still have a target of additional 5 to 10 sponsors. Mr. Deutsch has been working on that, both in terms of adding sponsors and also in terms of getting someone to be the head of the Climate Solutions Caucus from the Republican side shortly. Next Saturday, there is a service for Marshall. We believe that everything will be set up for it to be live streamed, and there will be information on community. So if you want to, you can listen to that. That will be at 1 o'clock Pacific time. And I do want you to know that this was a peaceful, dignified process for him. He was never in any pain. He was fearless through the whole process. And he was at peace that his life had made a contribution and that he was ready to make a transition. And we checked in on that with him multiple times. And in the last moments, he was surrounded by his family. And again, without any panicking, things went very peacefully. And so we were really happy about that. Okay, just waiting to get a special guest. It's supposed to be here in a second.